Blessings, everyone. It's 11 minutes past 10 on the computer here, and it's Saturday. I've got the date right. 30th of October. So, the message that's coming through today, and this feeling of uncertainty that's on the planet, fight or flight, it's all reactive energy that's in our system, and it's very much connected with the whole, with the globe as a whole. And also it's something that I feel is very ancient energy, fight or flight, where there was always this feeling of having to move with the source of the energies on Gaia, as she's ever changing. And as I say that, I'm picking up on the feminine and women who are connected, and the changing rhythm of life. How the feminine is deeply rooted in the change in terms of the shift, because it's in our chemistry, it's in our nature, because we are nature. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about the power of the infinite source and the power of the feminine, where we really are guiding light through this need to fully connect and flow with life. And it's a place of very deep unity and power within our, it's really within the heart, and I'm just feeling into the heart center, this sense of both wanting to protect life, and also through our wisdom knowing that life is ever changing. So it's this very deep cellular energy that we have in our makeup as women. The beauty of this, of course, which is that through the goddess and this really powerful feminine awakening that's happening, we're limitless and able to live through the timeless energy, where there is no death. There is only the sense of equilibrium that comes, and balance, through accepting this cycle of life. Birth and death being one, And this really powerful process that's going on with humanity, where there's been a huge amount of grief being released, and this uncertainty where individuals and families might be losing part of their security and the strength that they get from that, because their loved ones are moving out of the physical. The awakening process is about the realization that we're not physical, and I've spoken about this in previous videos, that we're very much timeless and formless individuals. But we live a physical life that's based on attachment and being attached within our families, communities, and within this desire to, I guess it's a desire for growth on a physical level, but it's not what it seems. So I'm seeing different levels of energy through the messages that are being shared online, and this attachment to control, very controlling energy through education, through the health services, through this need for external support and security. If we're able to let go of that through our awakening process, or maybe we're already free of it, then we're living in a reality where everything is abundant and is uniquely it's free in its uniqueness. It's our own perception of our freedom. It's how we see life from a place of source energy, through the infinite, through the eternal. My vision has always been and I feel particularly when I was birthing physically, birthing my own children, what I was seeing was this need for freedom for the children. And I wanted them to be free from the education systems, to be creative, to be highly in touch with themselves, to be in the flow of their lives. Whether male or female, it doesn't matter. And being in the flow and being creative and being free means that they're able to learn from a very deep awareness inside them that's unrestricted, where they don't have this boundary and this wall of energy, which is about telling them what to do. That they can have the very deep satisfaction and wisdom from knowing that they can make their own decisions at a very young age. And that was always my intention. There's a need to be selective and to be able to self-realise through understanding that we are very carefully choosing our path in life through our own higher wisdom and our own guidance. Anything that is perceived as guidance from outside of ourselves, when you're in a place of wisdom and connected with your own higher energies, then everything merges and comes together through the multidimensional. So there isn't any outside guidance. It's all happening as part of us, regardless of the belief system. And also, if you're a creative soul, you'll be able to see many different forms of life. So you may be able to see the light, the angels, the masters. But as we grow through our own self-realization and our own awakening, then we understand that the masters and the messengers of light are with us always. That there is no separation. That the masters, as they call the masters, and there are many, they're actually walking with us through life. And so we instantly transform anything that is out of alignment with that. And it can happen in any given moment. The message really is not to be concerned about anything that's happening. Not to be concerned about the planet. And not to be concerned about the human form. Because everything is in divine alignment and is being taken care of. The more that we're attuned to our higher self and our higher wisdom, then these sources of energy that come from many different dimensions, then whatever is needed will be there and accessible. And there's no need to really do anything other than that. To be free. So it's a beautiful message, and also I'm really feeling a deep sense of unity in terms of the freedom from the illusion and anything that would be considered as being a boundary and a wall of illusion, you might call it. It's saying just to step through and have the courage to walk through it's like an assumed boundary. Maybe something that we have learned in life through an external source, but it's not real. There isn't any need to recognize this it's a very controlling aspect. It's about the mind. It's about learning can only happen through a system that's in place that educates us through an external source, when in reality the learning in our lives is based on knowing, because we already know everything that we perceive as a need to learn from outside. The knowledge will come through when it's needed. The information will be there and accessible when you need it. If we fill ourselves up with what we believe to be correct and a system that's in place that is continually asking us to remember and memorize, which can come through text and through literature, or through a teaching which is repetitive but is to do with the mind, then we lose that state of grace, which is actually about repetition being about prayer, old language, knowledge, information that is already inside us. And it needs to be accessible. So we live from a state of grace. So balance is needed. There's a higher intelligence in our lives when we let go of everything. Everything we believed that we needed, or everything that was put forward and shown to us, that maybe a path of particularly ancestral energy, I feel. And I have spoken about this before in other videos, but the ancestral lineage is not about limitation. It's about freedom. So we need to believe in the knowledge that we already have, that has been given to us, and has been part of our own ancestral awakening, you might call it. Because there's nothing there that the ancestors have access to that we don't have within ourselves. I had a friend who, he was from Cameroon, and he lived in Paris, and if he had a problem, he would contact his father. I'm talking about physically contacting. On the phone, he'd phone his father. And he would ask his father, who was in Cameroon, if he could speak to the ancestors about the issue he was having. And I felt this was really beautiful, because there was such a strong sense of trust and knowledge there within the lineage of his ancestors. But the accessibility to the knowledge and respect, of course, for this was part of the belief that wisdom was carried through the generations, and that there would be a grandfather or a great-grandfather that could access this information, and that the newer generation couldn't access. But that's all changing. And there's always been access to wisdom through the vibrancy of the new children that are coming through, where there is a wisdom that's carried, and the children that have the knowledge within themselves. And they may be connected to the star systems. It's very much part of the planetary shift. And I feel that the children need to be listened to. I've been writing about this for a long time. But they do need to know that they're free, and that they're free of any limitations or boundaries that might have been there through previous generations. It's interesting. There's a saying that goes back through a number of generations, that children should be seen and not heard. So children weren't allowed to speak. And I could feel that that's fear-based. That children were supposed to be children, that they had to play and have fun and be creative. But they need to know that they're safe to be creative. They can create, and give them permission to do so. They need space to allow. And they also have a purpose in life which they can feel, and they need to express. So I have a picture of the Buddha and the lineage through Buddhism, for example, where a child would be accessible, I should say. They would access a child who they believed would be the next generation. And it's a similar vision that I have, but it's for all the children. And it's not connected directly with Buddhism. It's part of us. So the integration of all the belief systems that are inside us, and the children who can find a place of stillness within themselves, allow themselves to be creative and to express, and have words of wisdom that come through that they can write and they can play with. Music, movement, it's a life force. So this is my vision for the children, and I've had this vision for a long time. It's probably always been there. It came through really strongly, I feel, when I had my own children. But it wasn't directly connected with them. They were part of the whole. And so it was connected with the fullness of life and being free. And I've been living and working with these energies and allowing them to be accessible through my multidimensional self. And I need to ground and create something that would be accessible, both for myself to share and to allow and to teach and guide and have a space, a sacred space that I can live in and open to the globe. And I've touched on it a number of times. Have almost been there, and then it's been taken. The energies, they were supported for a while, and then it changed because the planet's changing. So I lost the space. But that has been my intention, to have a creative healing school, you might call it, where people would come that were drawn to the energy and were ready to learn, and where they would access it and be able to really connect with their own creativity and their energy system as a resource for life, and also the children. So there would be space and guidance for the children if needed. So it's an interesting play of energies because it's non-intrusive and respectful, but it's also very real in terms of life and who we truly are. And it's a fun place as well, so it's a place to be creative. So that's my desire, to create space for this and also have a space for me to really be at peace, actually, and be living within my own, you might call it my own temple space, my own sacred space. So the embodiment process that we're in, and the feminine, is very powerful, because we really need to be fully embodied and to feel this state of grace that comes through, and this deep love for humanity as a whole. And the strength that comes from really being free. So I'm just sending a blessing through, and connecting in with this source of nourishment and this infinite grace, this beauty inside, and our vision and our need to be recognized for who we truly are. Ishomonita la china la o ishino la chin chin. Masina la ish un shali ish un. Blessings for the star family and these golden rays of light that come from the heavens and encase us as a human form in a state of pure source energy and love, wisdom and grace. So have a beautiful day. I'll speak to you soon. Namaste.